Alright, now we gotta do mind your language. This is very important. I got the song in my head most of the day. Mind your language. Now I speak a language called motherfucking Zulu. Motherfucking Zulu. Motherfucking Zulu. So the principle behind the Zulu language is that when a Zulu person thinks, what makes Zulu a bit different to other languages is basically the fact that when the Zulu man speaks, they don't find a word for every single aspect of life. Like this is a mirror, this is a computer, this is an iPad, they don't look for words for every single aspect of life or every single situation like the English language or the French language. Or maybe even Chinese. Chinese, they have letters for every single. They've got over 5,000 characters in their language. Zulu is different because what it is, like I explained with black magic, Zulu works on the principles. So if I'm going to describe something, I'm going to use a word and apply it as a principle. And based on how I use the word, you derive the meaning. So here's what I'm going to say now. Dick is a motherfucking Zulu word. And let me put it this way. There's three types of words in motherfucking Zulu. There's roles, operations, and attributes. Characteristics. So a dick is one of the attributes. Dick is one of the attributes of one of the roles. So if you have a nigger, you can be described as a nigger with a long dick, or a no dick nigger, So dick is an attribute of one of the roles. And the reason why this language is important, because this language cultivates the ability, comprehension, cultivates the ability to actually apply black magic. Derive principles, apply principles. So here, what we hear, the word here, dick. We have dick as there's a principle behind dick. And the principle behind dick would probably be the capacity to plant seeds or to get pregnant. So if you have a dick, you have the capacity to make someone pregnant, or you have the capacity to impose yourself on somebody else. So this is what it is. Impose, capacity to impose or to plant or impregnate. Pregnant. Right? So that is what dick is. And now depending on how you use the word dick, there's two contexts in which you use the word dick. There's passion and there's kindness. The difference between the two is basically this is not a useful context. So when this principle is applied in a not so useful context, you are basically saying the word in passion. That's the context. You are illustrating. And kindness, you using it in a useful context. So in the context of this, somebody can be called, he's a total dick. Meaning that he's unpleasant, he's abrasive, he just imposes on everybody in an unpleasant way. Or, this nigga's got a dick. This person has a value proposition. This is another thing. Capacity to plant value proposition. That's the principle. When I am a man, I carry seeds in my ball sack, and my dick is a representation of the potential seed I can plant in a woman, or the potential to reproduce, right? Value proposition. So that's in a useful context. So if somebody has a great idea, that can be referred to as a dick. If somebody has a vision or value proposition or something that he's trying to do, that can be referred to as a dick. That is kindness. So the word can be used in these two connotations, not a useful context or in a useful context. So the motherfucking Zulu language, I've got the Mind Your Language Dictionary attached, and I hope that you guys find it. And it will establish the roles, different operation and attributes. And the purpose behind this language is fundamentally to become a universal language that can be used by people from all races, all languages, all cultures. And if you were to compare, it's like the cement. It's like these stones, sand, different races, different types of aggregates, and the cement is what pulls it all together. The motherfucking Zulu language will be that cement. The reason why I'm doing this is to fulfill what is written in Zephaniah chapter 3 verse 9 that says, the Lord, at this time when the Lord makes an appearance, He will change the language of the people to a pure language so that everybody can call upon the name of Jehovah shoulder to shoulder. So this is the purpose of Mind Your Language, and I hope as I'm going along I'll be able to cue, as you'll see the markers and the cues to say, when I speak motherfucking Zulu, you'll understand. Am I talking in passion or in kindness? Am I saying this principle is being applied in a not so useful context, or am I saying it's applied in a useful context? I'll give you an example of Zulu. Isandla. Right? If I'm saying umel unesandla, I can either mean he steals, right? Or I can mean he's skillful. Right. And the irony here is that sometimes you gotta be skillful to be good at stealing. I mean, movies like Ocean 11 and all these movies are an example of that. But this would be a not so useful context. This will be a useful context. So if I say Omelusi Unesan, right, I'll have to, based on knowing who Melusi is and who is saying it, you'll be able to find, is it in a good sense or in a bad sense. So if you know Melusi, you probably know it's kindness. Useful context. If you don't know Melusi, or you know if Melusi is a thug and he's always in and out of jail, and you've heard that about him, then you probably need passion. So, unesanda, yo. Or this could also mean even beating up. You're violent. You're violent. So that also could be a passion context. So, hey, this nigga's violent. He'll whoop your ass for no apparent reason. So this is what it is. So this is Zulu. Now, motherfucking Zulu is basically the intent or the principle of Zulu being applied. When you speak in this way and you speak like an African American would, this is the principle that one word, one idea, which is the hand, can be used in several different ways. Sometimes not so useful, not in a good way, sometimes in a bad way, in a good way. So this is the principle behind what Zulu is, and this is why I call, if you read the Mind Your Language Dictionary, this is why I call the language motherfucking Zulu. And motherfucking, in the context of what I'm saying, is basically Zulu. The principle of what Zulu is, recontextualize. We contextualize in the context of an African American. This is the language that African Americans speak. Last point before I end this is to say that African Americans are the lost ones of our African people. And one of the objectives of the coming king is to join Ephraim and Judah and make them one in his hand. And the motherfucking Zulu language will become that instrument that is able to reconcile the lost people or the people that have been living in diaspora in America without being connected to their spiritual roots, and the people that are here and reconnect them and bind them together and make them one people. So the motherfucking Zulu language will be that, because the motherfucking Zulu language will enable African Americans who can be called Ephraim, those who were in Egypt, and the Zulu, those who are called Judah, right? And join them together, and they can be an exchange of culture and knowledge. The Zulu people have the priesthood, right? Customs and spiritual knowledge. The African Americans have also a culture and insight on how to survive in Egypt. You get what I mean? So you're making these two people one. Here they're speaking transfer motherfucking Zulu. Here they transfer Zulu. So the principle is, at the end of the day, both groups are in a position to apply black magic, recognize principles, apply principles. So this is the ultimate goal. So I'm doing this deliberately, is that at some point I gotta be a nigga, because this is who I'm doing all of this shit for. Right? And this is fundamentally why you, as I go along in my prayer, why a man like Shembe came. Shembe came to prepare spiritual Judah, and I'm here to come and repurchase spiritual Ephraim and make them one in my hand, or one people in Shembe's hand. So I hope this makes sense. And now, on to the next one. On to the next one.